Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, sorry a little bit late. I had a sneezing fit there. I'm with Lisa Schwartz and Liz Hargrove from Crazy Eights. They got a big deal coming up a week from Saturday, and we can just talk about that and talk about what's going on with Crazy Eights. Lots going on that particular day of May 4th. Which, as you can see, we're all wearing the shirt, May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
That was just a fortunate happenstance, isn't it? Or did you plan it to be that way?
No, I mean, I think we had two dates available. We had May 4th, May 11th, and we were like, let's go with May 4th and capitalize on the date and have a theme. We've never done a themed city on a hill, and so we're kind of excited about this. We're hoping some people take advantage of it. We've tried to communicate with their vendors, when they're taking a look at activities, when they're setting up their booths. To remember that it's May the 4th, be with you is the theme. So we've tried to ask them to think about Star Wars themes, those kinds of things. So Liz is really good about communicating with the vendors and letting them know those kinds of things. So we're hoping to capitalize on it.
So Liz, you're straightening them out, are you?
I'm trying.
You're spelling it out, and here's how it's going to be. Well, that's good. Well, we'll run through the sponsors real quick, and then we'll get to talk about what's going on that day, what's it for, and the really important question: will they have antique cars? Because that's what I remember from last year. Well, first of all, everybody knows Otto at our place, and also now Gina's place, Gina's Pizza. I went there last night with a buddy.
Yeah, how was it? I've heard it's really good.
It really is, and it's a great atmosphere. You get yourself a pizza. They got the old blues music on. It's very hometown.
Do they have a white cream sauce pizza? Do you know?
You have to ask him.
Okay.
I just got.
You went with classic.
Yeah, right. I like what I like, so I didn't do a lot of experimenting. They also have sandwiches as well.
Yeah,
so
sure. Okay.
And so it's a really great place. So I advise y'all to go. I'll be at our place tomorrow meeting, and old students come by to say, hey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's always a good place. Also, Wild Cigar and Culture over at the Standard. They got a lot going on with cigars. They have all these vendors that come in and have specials and shows and whatever. They're known for being a stopping point for a lot of the cigar vendors in this region, not just in Burleson or Dallas, Fort Worth, but like this whole part of the United States. So they're big timers. But it's a good place to go and get yourself a cigar and a drink. So, Liz, you go over there for a cigar every now and then.
Not quite. But I will say they have partnered with us in supplying raffle prizes for our golf tournament. So, yes, amazing company.
Yes.
Very supportive.
They gave some stuff for the raffle for, was it the Vineyards and Vibes? Yeah, for Harvest House. Very nice little humidor with some cigars in it. And those cigars, I'm not an expert by any means, but those aren't cheap. Those are the good cigars. So thank you for all your help, Chris and Nathan. Also, of course, Lisa. So I'm looking right at her, and I should be saying Tiffany is what Tiffany Nico.
Yeah.
I saw her a couple of days ago at the post office. Next month's issue will be out next week, and it'll be on health professionals at Texas Euclid.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a good show as always for her. And also, she has the website that she does a lot of stuff. Somebody's, I can't read that. Who's it?
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Oh, okay. One of your supporters?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. All right. Anyway, Local Life Magazine also has locallifetx.com, so you can check out the website in between issues and whatnot, and they'll have some updates on some of the advertising they do. So it's a really good outfit. Also, Gayla, we've been talking about this quite some time with Southern Gym. She also has something on May 4th, but it's not going to interfere with either one of your schedules. I mean, you can do both without having to cut out early to leave, arrive late. Because yours is what, 10 to 4 or 2?
10 to 2.
10 to 2. Hers is from 3 to 7. So you can go one straight to the other.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It's around the Kentucky Derby. They're having the Kentucky Derby party. So my wife is, having to get a hat and, the dress. And they're going to have some bourbon and mint juleps and all that.
Cool.
Yeah. And then they have a raffle that's going to benefit equine therapy group called Wings of Hope. I don't know this outfit yet, but I'll have them on Monday.
Wings of Hope is a great ministry.
Yeah, I don't know much about equine therapy, but I'll bet I'll learn. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I get to learn something. Also, thank you to our friends over at Two Maids with Brenda Ramirez, twomaidscleaning.com/Burleson or 817-764-0733. They get paid based on your rating. So it's not like, $50 or whatever.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, I have several friends in BNI that use them either for themselves and or their parents, and they all rave about what kind of job they do, and they really have expanded. Brenda is from Kansas City, and she moved down here because her brother asked her to help take over this business, and she's really expanded quite a bit. She does like the windmiller building and things like that. I know what you'd like to have is more apartment complexes, but so if you know anybody out there that has one that needs a high quality cleaning outfit, that's who you need to talk to. Also, as I go through all these various pages to share with and whatnot, Old Pro Roofing, John Williams, 817-734-2756. The best time to get your roof inspected is not after a rain, because then you find out, oops, I should have done it earlier. He'll come out there, check your roof out, no cost. If you need a new repair or a new roof, he'll tell you. If you're fine, they'll tell you. So no upsell, no gloom and doom forecasts or whatever else. He's not there to hustle you. And they're here in town. They're a Burleson-based business, and that means a lot to me anyway. You want to know where to go and who to talk to, and they do a lot of business, not just in Burleson, but the DFW area. So they go all over. Also, thank you to our friends at Camco, Sammy Campbell, Candy Gal, for mortgage refinancing, or maybe your first one or whatnot. The mortgage rates are all over the place in terms of what's going to happen, right? And I would need somebody to hold my hand through this. And they've done that for me twice in other stops they've had. They've worked together for about 20-something years, and now they decided back in October, let's do our own. And so you call Sammy at 817-778-4592 or Candy at 817-925-2661, and they'll help you through all that. Have you ever gone through that, Liz? Gone through a mortgage?
Oh, yeah.
It's a beating. And
Yes.
They take the beating out of it. They give you a Kleenex to dry your tears, because you're just so confused.
Especially right now.
Right. And Jeff Kelly is our newest sponsor. He's been on for about a week now. Jeff Kelly is with the Weddington Agency here in town. His cell is at 817-781-0546. The office, 817-720-6300 here in town. Check out the website, see what they're selling at sellingthe817.com. I know there's a couple of houses he put on Facebook that I've shared. So he's got some houses for sale. And I'd like to have him on the show eventually. We're been pretty well booked throughout the nonprofit / election season. So in a few weeks, I'm hoping to have some space. I'm going to go back to some these kind of podcasts. Anything else? Oh, I'll say there's a couple other nonprofits. We'll wait till the end. Besides your own, I know there's a lot going on. So who do I talk to first? Who's in charge of putting this together? Is it primarily you, Liz?
I would say we share the load pretty well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. When you talk about the load, what are we talking about putting one of these things together?
So we coordinate with, say, the entities that make up our city, which would be our local government, our school district, the businesses, the nonprofits. And we just work with all of them to come together and offer our community a day of free fun.
So you have to deal with the school district, I assume, to get the parking lot at BHS.
Yes.
I've heard they're pretty cooperative.
Yeah, they're always great.
Yeah.
I figured there's been a lot of things over the years, and a lot of private type of operations have gone there. I remember, gosh, how long ago was that? About 12 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. They had Billy Graham's grandson do a big revival there. Remember
that was actually in 2007, 2008.
Right.
It was like one of the very first years that we actually moved here. We weren't involved in a church yet, and so we just jumped right into that. And I was one of their counselors and got involved in that. So it was a huge deal. Yeah.
And had Kurt Cameron here and all that. He came to speak at my church.
Yep. A lot of people came to know the Lord in that event.
And Kurt Cameron is not a big man. He was, of course, I didn't watch that show as often. I mean, I've seen it, that kind of thing. He's shorter than I was. So, but, he came and spoke at our church, and, it was always great and that kind of thing. But anyway, back to y'all's deal. How long does it take to put these together? I know it's not done in an afternoon. You must be working on this for a while.
We typically start in November, December, working with the city of Burleson and the school district to pick our date to figure out which works best with everyone.
Well, as far as the school district, it's obvious what you need from them, but what do you need from the city to help?
They, well, one, we want to make sure we're not overlapping any of their events that they have planned. And then we also get the hotel motel grant from them. So that actually starts, like I just applied for next year's grant.
Right, yeah. You know, Tiffany Nico does that for a couple of events.
Yes.
And so does Brooke Mathis with
Brooke
that.
Mathis.
Yeah, they all
We're
do that.
all in the same meeting together.
Really? Is that right? You're all,
Yes.
and so trying to scrap for the limited
Yes.
funds.
Yes.
Well, I'm hoping we get a couple of nicer hotels. I mean, not the ones down the highway or dumps, but, you know, most of the hotels are in Fort Worth.
Yes.
And I'd like for a couple to move into Burleson. And there's all this talk about one day, not anytime soon, selling off the softball fields over by the golf course and a private developer come in with something like that.
Oh, nice.
You know, like a convention center attached to a hotel and to the golf course and all that. But that's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to, you know, how the wheels of government grind. So.
Yes.
And there'd have to be a vote to sell the softball fields. That can't be done without a referendum. But anyway, back to you. So you go, you get the city, you get a little bit of help.
Well, we also partner with the city stage. So we'll have the city stage there, and they're super helpful with that. The Burleson PD brings over barricades. Of course, we have to partner with them for safety. We have to turn in a site plan, all of those things. So we jump through all the hoops that are necessary, which we love that, to ensure that the patrons of our community are going to be safe first and foremost. So, for example, you can't have like a drive-through. You know, people can't be driving through where you set up your event. So you have to have barricades, all of those things. And so the city of Burleson has been very easy and very complimentary of the event over the years. And, you know, and now at this point, it's kind of plug and play for us because we've done it now for 11, 12 years. And so I say 11 to 12 because we've had a couple of rainouts and then we had COVID and that kind of stuff. But we've been doing it over the last 12 years. And so it's really been an easy partnership. It's kind of become plug and play to the point where we've thought about kind of bringing in another person to help us out to kind of take, and we're like, oh, it's almost harder to have somebody else come in than for her and I to just do it. Because we've been doing it together for 12 years and she knows her part. I know my part.
Yeah.
You know, my main part is the money, you know, getting the sponsorships. And so
I can't imagine
it's just super easy.
I can't imagine anybody telling you no, though. Does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really? I can't imagine that. I just figured
we've gotten turned down for quite a few grants actually recently.
well, that's not the city's issue, is it?
Well, no. I mean, it depends on where you're applying for the grant for. But yeah, I mean, we have lots of businesses that tell us no, especially when you're competing with other nonprofits on same day and those kinds of things. I mean, there's only so much money to go around, and we have a lot of social services, and everybody is struggling economically right now. So yeah, absolutely.
Read in the paper, we're doing great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our funding is maybe right at about where it was last year. I haven't taken a look, but you know, the goal is always to increase in funding from year to year. And so the last 2 or 3 years, our goal has just been like to sustain this thing, you know?
Well,
and so because everything is kind of going backwards.
Well, see, some of the main sponsors here, Texas Health and Express Employment Professionals. I'm sure there's some others that are maybe not quite as prominent, but they're doing what they can.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. And most of our sponsors who we've had in the past have returned and have committed. It's kind of growing that and making more relationships and getting more sponsors. That's been difficult because, again, businesses kind of have, you know, they set their budget, they have their people that they like to give to. And, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, like I said, since 2020, 2021, we've just kind of been like, you know, we really want to keep this thing going. We feel like it's a great event for the city. We feel like the city loves it. The businesses love it. The people who attend, we get great feedback from them because we always do a post eval and get feedback from the vendors. Like, how did you feel about setup? How did you feel about the time? What would you change? What did you love? What would you like to see differently next year? And we always get incredible feedback. I mean, just that we love it. We love that you have setup teams. We love that, you know, that you partner with. We partner with like the probation, a lot of our National Honor Society. So there's a lot of students that come and help us with setup. So we're engaging the youth of the community in this event. And I think what people really love about it is 2 things. Number one, that it's not any one particular sect of the community. So it's not a city thing, a school thing, a church thing. It is a community thing. So we have churches, government, schools, nonprofits, all of us on one playing field, and everything is free other than the food. Now, we do have selling vendors that you can buy things if you want, but all the activities are free. It's free for you to come in. It's free for you to park. It's free for you to play the games. It's free for your kids to bounce in the bounce house. It's free for them to get face painting. You don't have to buy tickets to do all the activities. And that's really the heart behind it. Is we're working with people in poverty who, very much the same as you and I, desire to be a part of a community and deserve to know that they belong here. And a lot of people in poverty can't afford the things that feel like community, that we do, that cultivate community, because it's expensive. And a lot of that was started, I mean, Brad and I weren't necessarily in poverty, but we had 6 children and didn't make a lot of money. And so we couldn't attend a lot of these things because it was expensive. And then as a nonprofit, being a part of community events, it's like $175 for a booth. And then I got to pay a staff member to be there, or hopefully find a volunteer who can, and so, a lot of this was birthed out of that desire to give back to the community at a free level. And so a lot of times people are like, well, you could make money off of it. You could charge for it. And I'm like, yeah, we could, but then that would be messing with the mission. And we don't want to mess with the mission. We never mess with the mission.
Well, how do you make money? But vendors pay a fee or something?
So no, it's free. It is free.
But how do you make money off of this?
We don't. It's not a fundraiser. It's a friend raiser.
Oh.
So, everything that costs us money. So the heart behind it. So when we take a look at the suburban poverty barriers, we're taking a look at one of the number one needs of humanity is to feel a sense of belonging and to feel like I belong to a community. And so that's part of what we're doing with this event, is cultivating everybody can partake in this event. It doesn't matter if you're a small business, large business, can't afford it, can't afford it. I have 5 kids. I have 1 kid. I have no kids. I'm a senior. We want everybody to be able to come and know this is what our community offers and you belong here. So you can come with absolutely no money and have a phenomenal time.
That's interesting, because I thought, there's... maybe you'd charge for a vendor booth, and that's how you made money. I know that there's no tickets involved, there's no expense.
Nope, it's free from the front to the back.
How about that?
And so, and that's what we love about it. When you have small businesses, Brad and I own Moretti's Gourmet. We can't afford to attend all these things.
Well, it's really nice too. I need to go by and get some more of that Tuscan herb oil. Yeah, she sold it to me at the chamber event. Just, you're going to love this and all this other stuff. But it really was good. Well, I did not know that. So I would imagine you'd be overwhelmed by vendors who have a free opportunity to.
You would
put
think
their wares
we would
out.
be, yeah. And I mean, we're at almost 100 vendors, and probably next week we'll probably sign up 15 to 20 to 25.
So it's not too late.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, honestly, you could show up that morning and we would be like, yep, pick a spot, because we are not giving particular vendor spaces. A parking space is a vendor space.
All right.
And so as they come in, we just build in from the stage and out. And so they come in, they drop off their, as I said, we have teams that come in. They can pull their car in, we help them unload, and then they move on. They take their car and move it out so we can keep traffic flowing. And then we assign them a team of 4 to 5 kids who helps them get set up. And then we move to the next car. And so we just kind of keep it going. And I think one of our greatest strengths is our vendor setup process. And that's actually one of our number one feedbacks too, is that we really appreciate, because usually if you go somewhere, you can't pull into your spot. And so there you are, like dragging, a quarter of a mile, all of your vendor things, your table and this, and making 17 trips, and it's heavy and you're tired and it's hot, and then you're trying to set everything up all by yourself. And so we help them set up their tents, help them set up their tables. And so for us, that's a courtesy that we want to give back to our community. And I say us, and we're talking about a lot of our youth in our community. So, and of course, Liz organizes all that.
Do you now?
I love being a part of the vendor setup, like helping to organize. So, I mean, she organizes getting the kids there, but once they're there, I mean, I think probably I take on that part where I'm like, this is a team, this is a team, this is a team, this is a team. And we just have walkie-talkies, and I'm like, I need team A here, I need team B here. And we're just constantly, and each team has kind of a team leader, which is usually an adult. That kind of keeps these kids moving.
Well, the kids are coming from like a local church or churches?
So we do have 2 church groups that are volunteering with us. And then, as she mentioned, the Johnson County Juvenile Probation They can serve at our event, and it counts as community service. And then, as well as we have BHS and CHS's National Honor Society participating.
Yeah.
Same thing; those kiddos get to earn service hours for partnering with us.
So is it your job, Liz, to go to the vendors or potential vendors, or do you just, I mean, do you have to go out and get them, or do they come to y'all? And I would just imagine that this is a perfect opportunity without much expense.
I would say about 50-50. I mean, definitely the vendors from last year, I just have to shoot them an email. That's an easy callback for them. And then, of course, word of mouth plays a game in that. They hear about it, and when they hear a free booth, they sign up.
I would think so.
And then we usually do take time out of our schedule, her and I, to just walk the streets for a little bit, pop into businesses, introduce ourselves, and let them know of the opportunity as well.
Right. Well, I would imagine that majority of these vendors are like side businesses for these people, you know, like you see at like the farmers market, or like you see at a lot of these other type of events.
I mean, we have some. It's yes and so you like Roasted Beanery signed up this morning. You have the Burleson Cheer Group who signed up today. We'll have, you know, the the Centennial High School Choir out on the stage, and then we have, you know, the Senior Center bringing a group of people to dance on the stage, and Texas Health Hughley will be out there with their Hughley mobile bus and. So services too, churches will be out there. You know, the Heights has been out there in the past with a dunking tank and their little train. And so it's everything you can think of. But to your point, yes, because these small little hustles can afford it, they'll come because it's a win-win for them. There's no loss.
Right. You know, go in there and you go to the farmers market and you see all these products there. And I went to your event last year and I saw actually some of the same vendors, you know, and that was, you know, maybe they had split up and one went to the farmers market, one went to y'all's, but I just would imagine the response should be universally, if they can do it, they would do it because, you know, like you said earlier, a lot of these businesses get hit up a bunch. And, you know, the thing about it is, it reminds me when I was teaching in school and the band was selling wrapping paper or hams, the choir was selling this, the football team selling cards, you know, and they knew they'd run to my room because I was such a soft touch. My wife like, we got to actually turn a profit here this month, you know, but they can't. So I always was like, all right, I'm going to buy one thing from one
Each
person,
one of you.
And that's it. I can't afford 19 hams, but you know. But it was interesting, but that's probably what happens with a lot of these guys. You know, I know Otto gets a lot of response, a lot of requests. That's the word. A lot of requests. So does Chris and Nathan at Wild. Gayla does. You know, a lot of these people are known to be community.
Well, and we do as well in Moretti's.
Oh,
we probably get 3, 4, 5 people that hit us up every month asking for sponsorship or a basket or a gift of some sort. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, we definitely get hit up as well.
Is Moretti's going to be out there?
Moretti's will be at the farmers market.
At the farmers market.
Yeah. So again, we have to split staff. So when you have to make a choice, we're going to go where we know we're probably going to make a little more money at farmers market. You know, City on a Hill, we did pretty well. But we charge a little less per bag there because it's more festival. You've got kids. You know, farmers market kind of attracts a little bit different of a group of people. I mean, people are coming and they're looking to spend money, and you know. Whereas people at City on a Hill are coming and a lot of them are like, we didn't bring money because it's free, you know?
Yeah.
And so.
Well, believe me, when I had 2 small children, you look for those kind of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and
I mean, where else can you go where your kid's going to get their face painted? They're going to get to jump in a jump house, potentially ride on a train, play a million games. They're going to leave with a bag full of goodies.
Sure.
And you spent nothing. And you spent 4 hours just entertaining your kids within our community.
That's what I was always looking for when I was a parent, because you know, things can get expensive. You know, you can't go to Six Flags without taking the bank with you practically.
Yes.
And all that. And so I took my kids to a lot of these things when they were younger, and it was a great blessing to have it not be a hit on my wallet. So how many vendors and or booths do you think you're going to have? Do you have any idea?
We're sitting at 98 right now.
That's a bunch.
Yes. And then like she said, I definitely expect 10 to 15 to sign up over this weekend and next week. So.
Yeah.
A lot of people wait to see what the weather's going to be like.
Well, on that note, I want you to do at the end of the show what you did in the show last year. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we prayed that rain would be pushed out, and it sure was. It went right around
just
us.
split in two.
Yes.
It was like, and went north and south. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm going to take her to Vegas. Just bless these cards.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that
blow
way.
on these dice here. Hey, you know that kind of thing. So no, it wasn't. But I have a feeling it'll be working out. But say the weather is not suitable, what do you do?
I'll let you answer that.
Okay.
So definitely depends on, we've had the years that we have just temporarily kind of slowed down activities. Obviously, when it starts to sprinkle, the city stage has to close up due to the electronics in there. But usually in the past, we've only have to shut it for just while the rain passes through, and then we can open it back up. There was one year that we ended up moving into a studio very similar to this and doing just getting as many vendors in as we could, and just did.
And that studio about this size?
Well, we put them into shifts, so we had 3 vendors every 15 minutes went in, and we're able to share about their services, at least online. So, but that was really the only time. We had one time we just had to cancel it because the storm came on so quick and in such short notice. But
Usually, yeah, like she said, the city we kind of lean into the city to give us some advice in regard to that
partnership with the PD to say, hey,
well, there is, I guess, the fact that this is entirely free and you're not staking your entire year's budget on it.
Right.
These other events, I guess it does help. Because, I know Jennifer, when she was doing the Harvest House event a couple of weeks ago at the Lost Oak, she was getting a little concerned about the weather, and it turned out to be fine. But I remember doing this for school, for the homecoming parades, and and I'm reading the report, and like it's 40% rain chance, and that kind of thing. You just fret about it until it's over.
Well, and like I said last year, the threat of rain is just as harmful to an event than actual rain itself.
Right.
And so even if you have the threat of rain, it holds back your vendors. It holds back, people obviously from coming because it might rain in the next hour. And even if it doesn't rain, the threat of rain still can really keep the event from being the fullness of what we want it to be.
Well, that happened in the next step last Saturday, didn't it? They were doing their Walk for Life, and they right beforehand they did their event at the Church of Christ here in town.
Okay. We were in Nebraska last week, so
they probably would have had to cancel it because the rain was pretty intense that Saturday morning, but they were able to pull it off. They had a contingency plan, and the Church of Christ made themselves available, and so it all worked out, and they got what they needed, and they got there was a fundraiser, and they made money. But that's always the possibility in April and May, is the weather's going to turn on you.
It is a possibility.
But they don't know who they're messing with when Lisa Ford starts praying. I'm just saying, when you start praying, there you go. But as far as the other events, I hope anyway, the antique cars are going to be there.
Yes, we will have. Monty Kane is the gentleman we partner with there. It will be just a show and shine. So there's no registration fee. If you have a car and you would love to come out, you just show up that morning about, I would say no later than 9:30, pull in the parking lot and show off your car.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, those are some really nice cars. I always enjoy that. I know my dad does. He doesn't get out as much as he used to, but we've done that a couple of times. He really likes those old cars and whatnot. There's a couple in our neighborhood I see driving around sometimes. I couldn't drive one of those cars. I'd be a nervous wreck, because I'm thinking, okay, that car's too close to me. It's got is it going to scratch my paint? Whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just somebody that has the time and the money to do that.
I was raised up. My grandparents collect antique cars, so they have I think it's like 17. So anyway, it is definitely one of my favorite parts because I grew up doing car tours and shows, and it's just a little bit of home back for me.
Well, now this all is to raise not just a good time for the young people of this community, the small children or the big families, whatever, but it's also to raise awareness.
Sure. Absolutely.
So we need to talk about what y'all are doing over at Crazy Eights. I mean, last time we talked was about 3 months ago.
Sure.
Any major changes or anything like that?
No, we're still cranking. We're still going. We haven't opened up any new properties, so that's always you never know if we're going to get new properties. We still have the same staff, same employees. We're still ministering the same as we have to our community and loving every minute of it, you know?
Are you getting an increase in applications?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, see, that's where I'm heading, because I've talked to Jennifer at Harvest House. I talked to Debbie Beeman on her promises. Last week, I talked to House of Hope with Elizabeth Becker.
Yep.
Do you know her? Okay, that's the first time I've met her.
Yeah.
Jennifer suggested I go over there and introduce myself, and I did. She was on the show. And and Megan and Summer over at Next Step, they're saying they're all getting massive increases in demand.
Yes. Yes.
We have two people in my Sunday school class that work at Promises, and they're saying they're barely keeping up, or not at all. You know, that the shelves are usually only about a fourth full at that. And I went there last Tuesday, a week ago Tuesday, to drop some stuff off. And they had some stuff on both places, had some stuff, but not as much as they needed, because there's also about 15 to 20 people in each lobby waiting for it. And they said they come back, if you want to see what it really looks like, come back in about 3 or 4 hours. And that's when it, you know, where the shelves are bare.
Yeah.
And so I have been contacted by some people that maybe have a community-wide food event of some sort, food drive. Also, speaking of which, a week from tonight, the 4 city council candidates will be at Gina's Pizza from 5 to 7, and it's not just to meet the candidates and all that, but it's also bring canned food. It's a food drive for Harvest House.
Okay.
And I think that's great that our 4 candidates are putting all this other stuff behind, because, you know, 2 days they're going to have the election.
Yeah.
And on that note, I could say that these 2 races have been one of the most cordial and civil races I've been a part of.
Yeah, it's been very quiet.
Well, well, the only hair pulling has been doing by people not involved with the campaign.
Sure.
All 4 candidates have. They all said the same thing about how much they genuinely like their opponents, you know, and respect them. So that's the kind of thing we want as a community.
Yeah.
But that being said, so, you know, drop by. Pizza's great, of course, but go by and drop off some food at May 2nd at Gina's. But anyway, back to y'all. You know, they all say that their needs are increasing. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I mean, point blank, our economy is a challenge right now for people to
That's a
survive
nice way to
in,
put it.
right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, gas is high, groceries are high, cost of living is high, utilities are high. And so people are really struggling and they're having a hard time. And so, you know, I tell people, you know, obviously, again, like Brad and I I own one business, and then we own 2 businesses together. And in nonprofits and social services are very inside out. So, you know, in business world, the higher the demand goes, the more money you make. And with social services, it's completely the opposite. The higher the demand is, the more money goes out. And so you're not, you know, if my counseling services go up at Crazy 8 Ministries, it's more expense because our counseling is free. And so it's more expense to our counselors who are putting in their time. It's more expense to, if our housing goes up, it's more expense to our water bill, our utility bill, the gas cards that we have to give them, the food that we're providing for them, the babysitting we're providing for them. So, you know, when the service actually goes up and the demand goes up, your expenses actually go up and your overall revenue goes down. And so your net income goes down. And so that, combined with the fact that donations nationwide are way down, again, because of people not having that quote unquote spare money to be able to give to nonprofits. So now you've just kind of created the perfect storm where our services are going up, the demand for our services is going up, but our funding is going down, our grants are going down, our personal donations are going down. But not only is our services going up, we own obviously housing facilities. So our expenses, our budget has skyrocketed in the last 2 or 3 years because of water bill, electric bill, all of those things that we're paying for. And so I was telling Liz today, and I'll say this publicly, we have 4 open rooms, and they have beds, and they have sheets, and they have pillows. And what I don't have is money to put people in it. And that pains me, because we have a waiting list and we have viable candidates, but I can't afford to bring them in because we are plumb out. I can't afford to pay another case manager. I can't afford to pay another counselor. I can't afford more utilities, electric bill. We're out of gas cards. So, I mean, I have to be faithful to the people who are in my program and be smart and be like, okay, at some point there's a housing capacity and then there's a financial capacity and a ministry capacity. And when you hit that max, and it's hard to say that, like we have to hold back right now, and so, and we're cutting back in every area we can to be able to provide more housing. And so, not putting, it seems silly little things, but not putting fertilizer out on our yards, and saving money there and not getting the yard cut as often and saving money there and not, so we've pulled back on a lot of things and we're not printing as much, not using as much ink. Like we are really trying to save dollars wherever we can, but it is what it is. And it's not anybody's fault.
But do these families contribute to some of this?
So so actually that's what's kept us afloat, to be totally transparent is, let's see, what are we in 2024? January of 2023, I was like, we've got to go to our residents and ask if they can afford a program fee every month. And so, we used to not charge them anything until they had been in the program for 6 months, but now it starts at month 4 or month 6, depending on if you're a single or you have kids, right? And so now every 6 months, then it goes up $100, which is still very reasonable, but it was very painful for me. So it used to be they could stay the entire first year at no cost. And then the second year we took a look at their income. It wasn't a non-negotiable, but we've had to put kind of a progressive payment plan together. And really, honestly, that's what's kept us open. And all the residents were very happy. They were like, oh my gosh, we're just still glad to have a place to stay. We realize things are tough. But I mean, they're putting in what they can put in, but at the end of the day, they're homeless.
Right.
I mean, they can't pay $600 a month in rent.
So if you can find a place for $600, I don't.
But they can't do that. I mean, to get and it's not unusual if they have a $200 a month program fee for them to come back and be like, I still haven't found a job. I still don't have a car. My 2 kids were sick all month. And what do? Kick them out because they didn't make their $200 program fee?
Right.
No, we don't.
Well, most of these people have jobs or are looking for work.
Most of our residents, in fact, almost all of our singles campus now do have jobs, and most of our family campus has jobs as well. But again, some of them, in order for that, they're working part-time so they can go to school to get what we call a forever job. And so, they're moving forward and they're progressing the way we want them to because we're taking a lot of the buffer of that pain for them. But it is what it is, and I hate to, and it takes a lot for me to say publicly, because I'm sure I'll get slammed. Oh, you got 4 open rooms and you're not housing people. Well, when you write me a check, you get an opinion.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll just say that because there's a lot of people who have opinions on it. Well,
really?
If you have open rooms and you've got this waiting list, I'm like, yep, we have open rooms and we have a waiting list, but we can't move people in.
Who would be critical of what you're doing?
Oh, you would be surprised.
I would be shocked.
Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion of how we should change our program to maybe make it more lucrative and how, and I'm like, we have a 99.2% success rate. Don't touch my program.
I wouldn't even consider giving you advice on that.
Don't get me fired up. I told Liz, I was like, it might be a very interesting, it might be a very interesting show.
I've heard.
I'm a little fired up today.
Well, Jennifer and others have said they've had critics. I'm like, what's the matter with these people?
Yes, I mean, Jennifer and I just had coffee together over at Roasted Beanery, and I was like, just trying to come together and how can we collaborate more with monies and how can we, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can we collaborate? Because our programs, so Harvest House and Crazy 8, we complement each other very well. But we've not really collaborated on things, and not for any particular reason other than our services are different. They're very complementary. And so we're kind of trying to decide, like, how can we collaborate more on funding and events? And because we're all hurting,
Find that astounding that anybody could. I'm still on that. I'm trying to get by it. But
it is astounding. You would be surprised some of the messages I get and the emails. I can forward them to you if you'd like.
No, it would just depress me no end that
some
there are people like that.
Some of the voicemails that are left, and so yeah, I mean, people have opinions, and you do what you do because God invited you to do that, and you find that reward in what you do. And for every one negative thing, we have 15 to 20 voices that are like, "We love you. Thank you for housing us. I don't know where I would be today." got a message this morning from a former resident who's looking at getting a full-time job in the government arena, and she asked if I'd write a letter of reference, and I've kept in contact with her. And I mean, she just really was like, man, I'm like just crying even drafting this message because I don't know where I would be. And she came out of a trafficking situation.
Oh,
and so, and she's really rehabilitated herself and is thriving, is living on her own, has, we were able to walk with her through a pregnancy that I don't know that she would have kept. And so, and we were able to walk with her through that. And it's those kinds of reports and the facts that you see that this program works that keeps us doing what we do. And you just got to kind of silence yourself to all the other opinions, I mean, you just really do.
Well, that's still all right. I'm going to move on. But I've been talking to the city council candidates, and I asked all four of them, do they see a role for the city in these kind of things because of food provision and homeless provision, things like that. And they all are all very sympathetic, but they also know about the budget constraints of the city, and you'd also have... I mean, the whole, this is not a unique thing to Crazy 8 Ministries or to Harvest House. It's certainly not unique to Johnson County. Obviously, take a look at what's going on. I don't know what the church-state implications would be, but I don't think that's what kept them from doing it at all.
The what?
Church-state, that you're having a public money support to faith-based institutions.
Right.
That they never came up with any of them. They were all thinking... we wish we could do a lot of things, but not just helping y'all. And so the money is tight. And also, if you had some sort of facility for the homeless, whatever else, where are you going to put it? I mean, that's another issue. And is that an issue you ever face?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, cities are not, the city themselves, like city leadership are very like, yes, we see this need, but the people in a community, nobody wants a homeless shelter next to them. I mean, they want to help people, but they don't want it in their neighborhood. And, it's going to affect my taxes. It's going to affect, and I mean, I get that. Like, it is a reality. But, I mean, sometimes we have to be willing to sacrifice to help people.
Well,
we're not loved by our neighbors because we affect their property taxes.
Well, I haven't been out to your facility in quite some time or driven by it, but I thought you were kind of out of the main part of this community.
Well, we were, but the city's kind of creeping out around us,
I guess
so
that's right.
they have a development going on right next to us, and we've bought more properties since then. So we have three properties in Cleburne, actually.
How about that?
So we now have some 13 buildings that we own. I mean, and the other thing is like we've been dropped by our insurance because, Texas is a big risk now because of all the freezes. And so you have a lot of insurance companies that are dropping high risk. And we're a homeless shelter. We are high risk.
Do you need somebody? I know somebody.
We've got a couple bids going, and we'll figure it out. But it will probably double. And, to give you an overview, we were paying about $32,000 a year in insurance, and it will probably double. So every person that I have spoken to, because of the nature of our facilities, and you're talking counseling insurance, directors and offers insurance, event insurance, not just property insurance. So they have to cover services. They have to cover mortgages, all of those things that were required. And again, look, God is good. He's going to work all this out, but it's a reality that we're facing right now.
Well, it might be in that group as a young lady that's a broker that she deals with like 30 different insurance companies. You want her information after the show? Yeah,
I mean, you can give it to her.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've got 2 or 3 bids already going, and we're on a time crunch.
Okay. She'll jump on it tomorrow or this afternoon.
Sure.
But I don't want to, impose her on you. But she's a really nice young lady, and she does what she's talking about, and so. If it saves you,
I'm going to do my due diligence and get more than one bid from more than one company. So
she represents like 30, so you'll get some bids. Yeah. But anyway, so these are all the aspects of yours that
this is what
unique.
I do. This is what I do for daily living.
Yeah.
I'm like, when do I get to just minister to the people again? Like,
right. It's what's unique to yours because you're dealing not just on a here's some food, or here's some clothing, or
Yes.
whatever. You're dealing with them on a long-term basis, and
Yes.
yeah.
So our residents come in and they stay for 2 to 3 years.
Ooh, I didn't know that. I thought it was like a year.
No, it's 2. The empowerment program is 2 years, and then they have the option to stay for that 3rd year, which is where they pay to stay. So they'll pay $400 a month to stay in a different facility, like more of a home situation instead of a community. It's more like a home, and they'll pay to stay for that 3rd year. And so, yeah, we are housing. We're in it for the long haul, but it works. It's what's necessary to rehabilitate people from poverty. And while they're staying, it's not just housing that we're providing them. They're getting case management. They're getting counseling. We're helping them with food. We're helping them with transportation. We're helping them with gas. We're helping them get jobs. We're helping them with their medical needs, their eye needs, their dental needs. We're helping them with all the things that we need in life. We're helping getting their kids enrolled in school. We're working with the homeless liaison in the local school districts. We're partnering with other resources. And so there's a lot of moving parts when you think about your life and all that you need to sustain a life that is thriving. You need to have somebody that can change your tire, and I got to get my oil changed. And that's if I own a car. And if I don't own a car, how am I going to get to a job? How am I going to apply for something? Oh, and then I get a job and they're going to give me a ride. But what do I do with little Johnny and with little Susie? And so these are, some real needs that our county has is that public transportation system, which I know, on the county level, there's some conversations going on. And we need some childcare on sliding scales that are affordable for single moms and single dads. I mean, it's not just single moms. We got single dads. And also we have married couples who fall in that gap as well. And both parents are working their tails off and they just can't afford to do life right now. And we house them. We have family units that have lived with us.
Liz, when you were in high school and sitting in my class, did you see this as your life's calling?
No, I was going to be a chef.
I remember that now. Yes, now I remember. You actually trained for that, didn't
Yes.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to college for it.
Right.
And she's a phenomenal cook.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Who wants to come to our events where Liz is putting the food together?
Yeah. How long were you in the kitchen?
I ran my own cake and catering company for quite a few years until the Lord kind of was really fun. The Lord started overlapping Crazy 8 events with weddings that I was supposed to be doing cakes for. And I'm going to say that was his subtle nudge that I wasn't in, he was making me pick. And of course, I love what Crazy 8 does. And obviously picked Crazy 8, which I still get the opportunities. We host luncheons and stuff like that. And I still get to cook. I still get to use my skills. I still get to. It's just in a different form.
Well, it's kind of like when the Lord calls you, it's like, I better pick that phone up, because it's going to keep calling.
Yeah.
It's going to keep on ringing.
Yeah.
And, I know I could see how you came to Crazy 8, but why homeless in particular as opposed to some other ministry?
Originally, my heart is that heart of discipleship and counseling people. And when I started, and that's how the ministry just started with that counseling ministry. But when people start coming to you and they're like, man, I'm really depressed because I'm living in my car with my 3 kids. And you really recognize the importance of that wholeness and that holistic approach of really giving people the opportunity to thrive in our community, which I believe everybody is designed with a purpose, and saying, okay, what needs to happen in order, like the depression is just a byproduct here. The real issue, and when you take a look at like Jesus, before he ever even spoke his name, he addressed the practical need of the person who was hurting. And so that's where I was like, oh, what would it look like for us to put some kind of a long-term program together where we have a holistic approach and we bring them into a community space and we cultivate community, which is a huge part of our program. Our residents have you've had some on this show before. They cultivate community on their campuses, and they just do a great job having surprise birthday parties for each other. And all of that, again, addresses human need. And so I think it really just kind of in a like I didn't pick it. I just felt like it kind of happened, and the Lord was like, this is what I'd like to do, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. And I gave him my yes, because when God asks, you give him your yes. I mean, that's what you do.
I don't remember God asking anything, to tell you the truth. So
well, yeah. I mean, sometimes there's that too.
Well, I'm going to circle back to those 4 empty rooms, if you don't mind. Do you have certain situations where a person or a company or anybody could sponsor a room, so to speak, in a family individually, as opposed to just giving money to the general budget?
So it would still go in the general budget because of the way we're profiled. So we could put it under sponsorship. It would go into the housing program specifically. But again, it's going to go towards their. I mean, like our utilities on a campus is all one bill, right? So. I mean, yeah. I mean, it costs us probably the last I figured, and you can correct me. We guesstimated around which is cheap, around $750 a month per resident is what it costs us.
Per resident, is that per unit or like if you had like a mom and 2 children?
So we base that on like a mom and 2 children.
Okay, so
it'd be for like a family unit.
A family unit as opposed to an individual.
And that's really cheap.
I would think so. I was thinking more.
Because that's covering their case management and their counseling and their housing and what we need for them to live there. And it's covering, obviously, their utilities. It's covering if they need childcare, all of those things. And I mean, so each resident is meeting with their case manager once a week, so that's an hour, their counselor once a week, so that's an hour, and then they meet with their director, our housing director, once a week, so that's an hour. So we're pouring in at least 3 hours, and that's dismissing our volunteer prayer team that comes in to encourage them, and the countless phone calls that we get from them, and the times we have to run over because there's a water leak or there's a conflict between 2 residents, and we have to go literally break up a fight. And
yeah, I can imagine.
So I mean, to say each resident requires at least 3 hours of time again is it's very much on the skinny side. So that $750. So when we added up, like how much would counseling once a week cost? Well, it costs about $120 a month or $120 a session. When you multiply that times 4. So there's your $480 right there just in counseling services. So that's why I said $750 is pretty pale. But yes, if somebody said, I want to commit to $750 a month for the next 2 years, because
right.
I mean, I can't, once I bring them in, I can't be like, oh, sorry, your sponsor bailed out on you and now you got to go. I'm not going to do that. So it's not just what we have right now. It's projecting where are we going, what's happening, what's going on with our funding. I mean, it's not like we're on an uptick. We're on a downtick. And I think every nonprofit would say that right now. And so that's why I said we're just trying to hold the line.
Well, I was kind of equating y'all to Eagle's Nest, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And Rob and I sponsor a couple of children, and it's one of the best things I ever did because I'm telling you what, I've never met the kids I've sponsored. I get a card and picture of them, and it's like, I'm going to buy this girl a Cadillac, when she turns 16, you just, even though, and then you get to hear about, they get adopted by some family there in Guatemala, and it's like, it really affects you. And I just wondered if y'all had that similar type of program. So if some guy came in and said, here's $5,000 a month, those rooms would be filled.
Oh, and that was committed to 2 years? 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
yeah, because the other issue is we have got to, like our case manager that we have right now, we have one case manager that we employ and she's part-time. And we have 2 volunteer case managers that take on 2 residents. So that means that one part-time case manager is meeting with about 17 residents a week.
Right. So,
so, I mean, and we have one house counselor right now. We're down to one counselor and she's meeting with. So again, we're at ministry capacity because we can't afford to hire somebody else to come in. These guys are already stretched thin. They love what they do, not complaining at all, but also very realistic to say we're tapped out. Like I can't have more than 24 hours a week of meeting, counseling homeless people. Like these are not, this is not, oh, I'm at work and I have a little bit of stress. Homeless people are they have a lot of emotional needs.
I bet they do.
And so you're not just counseling once a week, you're fielding phone calls throughout the week. And I have anxiety. Can you call me and pray with me? I don't feel good. I need a ride so there's a lot going on, and I have a phenomenal team right now. I mean, a phenomenal team. And I think, Liz, you can attest to this, like we have been even impressed with how much they've been like, we want to help you guys be out in the community, because Liz and I have been overwhelmed. It's just the two of us. And unlike, again, like Harvest House Promises, they're just Burleson. We are Johnson County. So for every chamber event, Jennifer's going to, and her and I were talking about this, I have to go to 4, and so it's like for every networking group, there's a million Johnson County network meetings, and it's like, they all want you to come to them. And I'm like, I want to work with people. I don't want to sit at a lunch and have conversation, and no offense. And I don't mind that once a month, but I don't want to do it 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I want to do. I want to work with people. I want to minister to people. And so, I kind of have to rein myself back into, why do I do what I do? And I do it for the people. And at the end of the day, and when you apply for a grant and you don't get as much money or any money as you thought, it's painful, not because you spent the time writing the grant and you had all these hopes. It's painful because it hurts our community. It hurts our community. And so I'm like, well, and Jennifer and I were talking about that as well. Like, those lack of dollars, it's sad for us, but at the end of the day, it hurts Johnson County.
Well, maybe I suggest, besides coffee, next meeting, you and Jennifer go to Wild. All right.
Maybe you should bring us on your show together. That would be a lot. And you can just sit back and watch us banter about life.
That's maybe a good idea. I mean, she's on fairly regularly,
Yes,
so maybe this summer we can do that.
Sure,
and maybe hopefully
absolutely.
you'll have better news for us.
Yeah,
but we are getting close.
it's again, we're sustaining. It's not like we're like, we're about to close our doors. We're not there. But that's only because we've had to hold back on our services.
Well, I got a couple other nonprofits I want to mention, and then let y'all finish out the show. We have something going on Saturday at the Tractor Supply Store. The American Legion's having a garage sale.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's I believe it's a Tractor Supply store that's closer to Joshua, but if it isn't, you know where the other one is. But I think it's a southern one, as they call it. And so they're doing stuff for the American Legion. And then on Sunday over at the Martin House Brewing, there is the Amanda Man Clark project about colorectal cancer awareness. Cornhole for buttholes, which everybody likes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a cornhole tournament. And Amanda Man Clark was a young woman who died of colorectal cancer. And her 3 friends said, we got to do something about awareness, colonoscopies, and then whatever else. And colonoscopies are not fun, but they're pretty necessary. My wife insisted I get one, and I survived it. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
People
out.
are like, just not that big of a deal.
Not that big a deal, and it really helps. And but if you don't, I know you don't have any problem with praying in public. You want to pray about this event and also your needs?
Absolutely.
The floor is yours.
God, we come before you in the name of Jesus, and we just thank you for the honor of serving you in Johnson County. And we thank you for this community. We do thank you for the support. I don't want to negate or be remiss and not mention the support that we do get. And so I ask, Holy Spirit, that you would bless those businesses that have poured into their local nonprofits and recognize the beauty of social services and keep us afloat. I ask that you would bless this event, that people would come first and foremost, that they would have fun. God, that there would be, of course, safety, and there would be a lot of interactions and connections that are made. We thank you for good weather. We thank you, Lord, that you will keep the skies cleared, not just for our event, but for all the necessary events that are coming up. We thank you, God, that you provide for every need that we have. And so we declare, God, that you are a provider and that you will fill those 4 rooms and you will bring the funding and you will bring the people. We love you, Lord, and we thank you that we get to lean in on you and you change the narrative in our lives. And it's in the name of Jesus that I pray. Amen.
Well, thank y'all for coming.
Yes, absolutely.
I know this event's going to be great. I'm so impressed with your outfits and so many others. I do look forward to that show in September when all y'all get in the same room. I feel like I'm with
yeah,
It's
it
a
is
fun
fun.
show.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm with true servants of the Lord, and I'm just here and watching it. I get this nice little podium to sit at and see all this good stuff that's going on. So you're going to have a great event. And you have another event coming up in a few months after that, don't you?
October 26th, 25th,
Right.
it's a Friday, is our golf tournament at Southern Oaks. So again, that is a fundraiser. That is an opportunity for people to get involved in. It's called Golfing for the Good.
Golfing for the Good. I like that. You come up with that, Liz?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did. I think that was mine. We also have the Prayer and Prophecy event this weekend, 10 to 2 at main campus. Come and get a word.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, July 4th, if you want to buy tickets to go to the Railroaders.
Oh, yeah. I need to get them on the show.
Yeah, you need to get them on the show. And it would probably be good for us to come back on maybe in June and kind of push that event.
that would be
quite a bit.
great.
All right, we'll
We
figure
can
it
see
out
if we
right
can. We'll see if we can hook up with them and get us all on the show. We've got a good connection with them.
Okay, I'd like to get the Railroaders on
Yeah,
because
for
they're
sure.
doing something next month for Next Step, I know.
Okay.
And I think they did something
They're
already.
doing for Center for ASD,
That's
I
it.
believe, as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, they're really doing those. They're doing those charity spotlights, and I think, you've got a whole new ownership going on there, and they're doing a really good job. They're doing a
they're gonna be
project
there
for
at
us,
City on a Hill.
and they'll be at City on a Hill.
Well, if I saw them at one of the chamber events, and I haven't followed up on it like I should, I'm going to get them on the show because, first of all, I love baseball.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Ranger fan and all that, even before they won the series. But it's good baseball. I went over to see them a few times, and I was like, and I didn't know what to expect. And it's good, legitimate baseball.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that. Before you leave, then we'll get a date. Next week, I have Wings of Hope on Monday, and then on Tuesday, I have two not city council, I'm getting confused. Joshua ISD candidates for school board. I don't know how much you got going on over there with all that, but they need some help over at Joshua ISD because they're having a bond election again, and they definitely, in my opinion, need it. The two candidates, I'm looking them up now, Cody Lee and Ryan Watson. And then on Thursday, I have Leah Wright, who's sponsoring the Joshua ISD. Well, not sponsoring, promoting, pushing, whatever, the bond issue over there. And, since about 3 of the schools in Joshua ISD are in Burleson city limits, it does affect us here. And then you have that big development going on with Rocky Branson and all that. That's
Yes.
going to really put pressure on Joshua. So
Yep.
y'all tune in for that. Thank y'all, ladies, for what you do
For
for
sure.
this community.
Thank you for having
I
us.
know, it's quite all right. It's my honor and pleasure. That's what the show is about. I can rant about Joe Biden tomorrow.
We'll be at home when you do that.
Okay. We'll see y'all next week.